He has a path and a plan for you. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. One of our favorite verses for destiny simply says, God speaking says, I know the plans I have for you. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for good and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. God's got a plan for you. Everybody in this room, God's got a plan for you. Something He wants. And it doesn't include hatred and anger. It doesn't include bitterness. It doesn't include jealousy. Any of the things that the New Testament warns us not to take on, not to be like, not to build up in our life. God thinks good things of you. He has a good end. The King James Version of that verse says, I know the thoughts that I have toward you, thoughts of good, not of evil. And then it says, to give you an expected end. ESV accurately said, to give you a future that has hope in it. Your future should not scare you when you look at it. Your future ought to say, oh man, look what I could do if I get past the wall that I think keeps me back. So I don't know what's keeping you back. If there's a wall between you and God's plans for you, I would just tell you that you might not be able to tear it down, but God will. As miraculously as He tore down the walls of Jericho and made them just collapse on command, if you'll come to God and say, God, I'm tired of living my life. I want to live your life. But I've got these walls I built. God could just command them to come down and get you past them. It's a spiritual thing God does. It's not a physical thing. God spiritually gets me where He needs me. Oh, how many silly paths I have taken by my bad choices. I can't tell you how many times. I wouldn't even try to tell you how many times I failed. Just about everything I ever stepped out to do, I failed at. Most people consider me a failure as a pastor just because I've been here so long and church is not big. And I live with that. I don't care. Because it took me a long time to finally understand that I'm just in God's hands. I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm not going to stay behind walls. I'm not going to say, oh, I can't dare try that. I've tried a lot and failed. Tried a few and won. But every time I fail, I come back and build another row of bricks. It's what we do. Every time something backfires on you, don't you just come back and protect yourself a little bit? I'm not going to let that happen again. Build another wall up. Not going to do that. Build up another wall. And after a while, you just kind of walk through life like a zombie. No joy, no happiness, no love, no passion, no fun, no humor. Just you. Get your aching body up in the morning. Go to a drudgery job. Talk to dull people. Come home and turn on TV and watch dull television. Learn nothing new. Try nothing new. Don't step out on a limb. Don't gamble. Don't risk it. You got walls. Built them so high, you're not really moving in the flow of God's Spirit and destiny for you. You're trying to move in a safe zone every day. Don't want to have a wreck. Don't want to drive a dangerous car. I was laughing the other day. It's got nothing to do with this sermon, but I was laughing the other day. A mother was double-checking every buckle of her child in her car seat. Not one of mine. I know you think Ashley and Graydon. No, although she would with me, because I just tell him to get in. If you can't buckle yourself in, hang on. And so that's why he doesn't go with me very often. But he climbed in my back seat in his little booster seat, and I said, buckle yourself in, buddy, or get a grip. So I think he likes riding with Grandpa personally. But a woman at the store was just fussing and fretting and bad enough that I stepped over and I said, are you having trouble? Do you need, can I help? The car seat wasn't fitting her right. She said, oh no, it's just they put so many latches on these seats for a small child. And I laughed and I said, oh Lord, I remember the day when I had kids, I just threw them on my shoulder, got under the wheel and took off. Oh my, she said, oh my, like I was suggesting she do that. Oh my. I feel sorry for all of y'all. Y'all don't know what it's like to put a kid on your shoulder at 11 o'clock at night and drive a few miles just to make the little sucker go to sleep with the swaying of the car. That's the way we had to put Allison to sleep. I went out and got in the car, threw her on my shoulder, and drove at 11 o'clock at night. Something about the rhythm of the car, she'd go to sleep. Come back in and tiptoe in. We didn't even think of a seat belt and safety harness and double click method to make sure they cannot get out the window. That's the way some people approach life. Well, we had a few problems, and so therefore, we want to be safe. I don't know if safety ever enters into God's mind when He's already promised He'll never leave you nor forsake you, but I do know destiny does, and I know He has a destiny and a plan for every one of us. Are you meeting it? Are you living God's life? Or are you trapped in by fear and doubt? I want to live God's life. I want to live the abundance that God has for me. I don't want fear and worry and anxiety to control me and shape my future. I can't imagine what kind of future I'd have shaped by fear and worry and anxiety. I want my future to be shaped by God's will for me and God's plan and God's destiny, because I know it's good.